The series of skills that you will see are demonstrated by Virginie Dedieu of France, who was our guest coach for the 12 and under 2016 National Talent Camp. So let's get right to it. Right off the bat, she is demonstrating her egg beater. The majority of the athletes, as you see in her example here, were allowing their legs to trail behind them, behind their body frame, and very deep and low in the water. As you see, what she does is she talks to them about having their right leg leading on the right side of the body, being up really high, and the same if she were to travel backwards, having that left leg to the left side of the body so that the left leg is leading and not trailing behind them. The next part here is just a fun and interesting way to do your egg beater laps. So she talks about a 90-degree angle with both arms and then straight up to a vertical position and then out to the side and restarts. So she does this very fast. The torso is completely vertical, in line with the shoulders and the head. Legs are moving quite fast here. Of course, the arms are moving really fast. And she did this for a few laps with the athletes. They all got pretty tired, but you can come up with any type of choreography that you want to make the egg beater laps more interesting. So 90, 90, vertical, vertical, double arm, out to the side, and back together. In this example here, she does torpedo skull, then into a rapid inverted tuck to a rapid press up to vertical, and then continues. So making your laps more interesting, getting them to do the basic skills. An example here, she does a freestyle sprint, side flutter, front arm sweep to surface pike to crane position, holds for 10 skulls at maximum height, lifts up to vertical and descends. The main objective here is when you sprint, as soon as you pike down, you must come to a complete stop. So here is an example of how close her arms are to the surface of the water while she is in her crane position. So again, the emphasis of these laps are to sprint your freestyle, go into your pike or whatever position you're going to go to underwater, come to a complete stop, do not travel, and then hit your position nice and high, straight for 10 skulls. So she does the exact same example with the heron position. Nice and high. And then you can do the same thing with crane switches. Reaching the leg up, 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 and then she added a spin just for fun. Right here, the athletes are actually just looking at her float level, getting her body aligned before she adds her sculling. And then you see the tempo of skull does increase, and she does reach for the surface of the water. When you look at her underwater, she is not out sculling and then the sculling going, pressing downward. It's actually reaching for the surface of the water. So in this one here, this is her version of kick, pull, kick, but it's kick, pull, and then swish, swish, swish. We're going to go ahead and watch that one more time. So kick, 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 swish, swish, swish. Kick, kick, swish, swish, swish. The emphasis here, of course, is to be high. Keep your core very engaged. Make sure that you have full kick and speed of the arms as well. So with these athletes that we had at our camp, we did have to slow it down to just the kicks without adding the arms. Okay, your standard back layout skull. On here, the thumbs are touching her glutes. The same here with her foot first skull. She really made it a point that for drills and exercises, making her hands touch her glute muscles. Here in torpedo skull, she really emphasized how much, or the speed of the hands during the skull. So really pressing the water, keeping the arms deep in the water, and then pressing that water so that the girls can feel grab of the water, and of course, train speed while they're doing it. So same function here. The arms are deep. Upper arm is stationary, and so it's really just the lower arms and the hands that are working here. Okay, for barrel skull, she really emphasized more pressure with the hands themselves, not so much with the lower arm, but she wanted to really emphasize more hand grab of the water here. Again, keeping your head, upper back, buttocks, and heels dry. In canoe skull, really emphasizing keeping those elbows back and as close to the body. Head, upper back, buttocks, and heels are dry. This is probably one of my favorites. She is setting up to do support skull, traveling foot first. If you notice her setup, she does hold this for a little bit, but her hands are touching her thighs, and she emphasized that every time she goes into an in skull, she touches her thighs again, keeping those elbows nice and tight and as close to the body as possible. One of the things Virginie talked about was the contraction of her muscles. So when she swims, everything is working, everything is activated, every muscle is contracting. So again, this is now a paddle skull variation, touching the thighs and then touching her shoulders. Keeping the upper body as still as possible. Now the V-sit, traveling V-sit position. Again, nice and high, straight back, good posture, good grab of the water. She does this little foot flex thing that you can add, or you can go up into a double ballet leg like what she is doing. And then what we actually had the girls do is they traveled down the pool. At the middle of the pool, they went up to double ballet leg, did a 360 rotation, and then continued either in their V-sit for one lap, or then they continued in a double ballet leg, traveling butt first. The other thing that we did were flamingo positions or ballet leg positions. So here Virginie's going to do a thrust. If you notice how close her body is to her legs, she really emphasized that. Now, of course, she does bend her legs a tiny bit to do her thrust, and she did emphasize the fact that it's just because she's older, it's just much easier for her. But she did want the girls to know that the tighter you are, the better the unroll and better the height. And then this is just a little variation that Virginie was playing with in the water, going from a crane position, 360 rotation back to crane position. So I really do hope that you can add these to your training schedule, especially now during the general preparation phases. But make sure that they are doing this every year. We want to make sure that all of our athletes are developing their basic skills at a perfect 10 level. And all of our three guest coaches, Elvira, Andrea, and Virginie, did mention how much effort and time they spent just on their basic skills is basically what got them to the level that they're at. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and I do hope that we get to see some of your athletes at next year's talent camp.